What does the Arabian Sea and the Headless Men of Antiquity, spoken about by Herodotus, have in common? Stay tuned, because we're going to find out. Living in the unmapped regions of Asia and Africa, there was an unusual group of beings called the Blime. They were a race of primitive, somewhat, beings who lacked heads but had a face situated in their upper body. The tribe first appeared in Herodotus' The Histories, where they were described as a species of headless men from North Africa who have their eyes in their chest. So we have the Blimies, who were lacking a head, with their facial features on their chest. These were at first described as inhabitants of ancient Libya or the Nile system. We can see this area right here along the Nile, where it is said that the Blimes lived, the headless men and also women. And I find this rather interesting because the UFOs that are in the Gulf of Aden, and we have the Red Sea, and we also have the Suez Canal that get ships stuck in it. And there are UFOs that have been documented around here, strange anomalies like portals opening, and I just talked about portals opening this week, right in the area of the Arabian Sea. That's why I find this very interesting that we have these headless men and women along the Nile River, okay, and they are from the Libya and Africa, and sometimes they said they were from Asia or India. So there certainly is some type of activity occurring with these so-called mythical creatures, mythical beings. I don't think they're mythical. I think they exist. And they weren't the only ones. We're going to look at a few of these pictures of them. But that was so interesting, seeing that they were from the ancient lands of Libya or the Nile area, right around these areas where there are known activity right here. And then we have this portal that opens up. And then the Red Sea, there's been a lot of history associated with the Red Sea. And then the River Nile. So let's look at these. It doesn't seem far-fetched with me, thinking that these aren't myths. This is not folklore. This actually is real. These beings, these race of species, they existed, and I think they still exist. I think history was covered up again, is what I think. If you look here, like people with 1 foot, the horns and the heads, I think it probably had to do with genetic modification, trying to get the human species or something. Maybe they were leftover, who knows? But there's too much written down throughout the history since antiquity, all of that. And the area in which they came from, it came from the Arabian Sea area around the Red Sea, the Nile. That is so rich in history. You have the Babylonians, you have it all going on, there's so much more going on than what they're telling us. That's exactly what I'm saying. I'm thinking a portal has been opened. We're at the Discover Epic. Look right here. This thing literally rotates around the earth. I've got it magnified, but watch this. See this lighted area? Whatever this is, it rotates around the earth, and that lighted area shows up in different places. But let's get to this, you all, because there's something to this. There really is. So we're over here. This is the Arabian Sea. This is the Arabian Sea. You see this black thing right there? It's coming out of that portal. That's what I think is happening. This black thing is coming out of a portal that opens up. Now, while I'm at it, I want to touch on the Headless Horseman. What if this really wasn't the type of Headless Horseman that they were talking about? What if it wasn't? What if it was like one of these blêmes, these headless beings whose head were inside their chest? What if it was one of those? After hearing that, I'm thinking, okay, well, why are they talking about a headless horseman that went around riding? You know, they could adapt throughout the centuries. They've had plenty of times to adapt. And, you know, if their species is still continuing within the earth, why wouldn't they be able to evolve and ride on horses? That's what I'm saying. Why wouldn't they? Let's look at this. It says the Headless Horseman is a mythical figure who appeared in folklore around the world since the Middle Ages. Appeared in folklore around the world since the Middle Ages? Well, the blême, the headless people, appeared too. So, that's why I think there's something more to this. They say that the figure is traditionally depicted as a man up on a horseback who is missing his head. Traditionally depicted? Well, what if they just threw that in there? Oh, now look at this. Depending on the legend, the horseman is either carrying his head or missing his head altogether. Well, there's a reason he's missing his head. I think it's because he's a blême. He's that race of beings, that species that was written about since antiquity, but yet it slowly but quietly faded off into the unknown, so nobody would speak about it anymore. But no, I really do. I feel within my spirit that this Headless Horseman was a blême. So he's missing his head altogether, searching for it. See, they want to make that up. And then they say is a demonic. Okay, examples include the Dullahan from Ireland, who is a demonic fairy usually depicted as riding a horse and carrying his head under his arm, and the titular knight from the English tale Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, a short story, by Washington Irving. And see, they keep every area has its spin on it, and then you have it in this is the Irish folklore right here. Headless fairy riding a horse under his arm, and Scottish Headless Horseman, a clan battle, in the Isle of Mull. He and his horse are headless in accounts of his haunting the area. And English folklore, a headless horseman, a titular giant knight after he's beheaded Gawain. So look, they got comics of them. Horsemen, outlaws on a whatever. Look at this. No, I really think it's the blême is what I think it is, because they had their head in their chest, so they wouldn't have to worry about carrying their head under their arm or anything like that, or blood dripping from them or anything like that. That's what I think it is. I think it is the blême, because they shouldn't have folklore from all around the world. Mythical figure. No, it's not mythical, you all. It's not. So let's read a little bit more about these blême. In antiquity, the first indirect reference to the blêmes occurs in Herodotus' histories, where he calls them the Acapaloi, without a head, the headless, the dog-headed, The wild men and women, besides many other creatures not fabulous, dwelled in the eastern edge of ancient Libya, according to Herodotus' Libyan sources. Mela was the first to name the Bleme of Africa as being headless, with their face buried in their chest. In a similar vein, in the Natural History reports, the Bleme tribe of North Africa as having no heads, and their mouths and their eyes are being seated in their breasts. Pliny situates the Bleme somewhere in Ethiopia, neighboring lands to Nubia. Modern commentators on Pliny have suggested the notion of headlessness among the Blemes may be due to their combat tactic of keeping their breasts or their heads pressed close to their chest while half squatting with one knee to the ground. They add they are believed to be born with their head part dismembered and their mouth and their eyes deposited on their breast. So they say this was applied to the term as akaphalelo. You know these words. I can't pronounce these Greek words. Was applied to people without heads whose facial parts, such as eyes, mouth, have relocated to other parts of their body. Look, Chinese classic text, the classic of mountains and seas. The god Zingatian is described as having no head, and with his nipples as eyes and his belly button as his mouth. This is because he got decapitated in battle against Huangdi. So then they have it in the Middle Ages. Look at that. In the 7th and 8th century, there had been composed a letter of Pharmaces to Hadrian, whose accounts of marvels of bearded women and headless men incorporated into later texts. Bearded women. Look at that. So they describe people without heads of a golden color, 12 feet and 7 feet wide. Now, why would they be 7 feet wide? I can picture them being 12 feet tall and 7 feet tall, but they were 12 by 7, living on the Isle in the river Brisson in Ethiopia. They say strange people from letter occur in the Anglo-Saxon wonders of the East. So let's look at that. Wonders of the East. Well, they got their heads in a head facing forward and their head facing backwards. Look at it, the Wonders of the East. It's in AD 1000. It is accompanied by many illustrations and appears also in 2 other manuscripts in both Latin and Old English. It describes a variety of odd, magical, barbaric creatures that inhabit eastern regions. Oh, you gotta be kidding. No. Oh, my goodness. Now, what's this one? Early 18th century Anglo-Latin catalog of marvelous creatures. Okay. So, look at this. So, they're documented. They didn't make this up. Okay, I just want to say right now, they did not make this stuff up. This is not make-believe, you all. This would be the bearded women right here, okay, with their beards hanging down like that. They did not make this up. This is actually history that did happen, ancient history, and it goes back as far as antiquity. But then something happened. No one spoke of it anymore. About these. Look at this. This is the Bleme with the face on the chest, and the Bleme with their eyes at their shoulders. So, and you know, they got video games of them. Look, they have both varieties according to Isidore, who reported that in Libya, besides the Bleme, born with a face on the chest, there were reputedly others born without necks, with their eyes on their shoulders, and modern commentators believe the 2 different types represent the male and the female Blemes. Well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? It would make sense, with their genitals explicitly drawn, Another example, like this Ragun hidden math. Okay, west of England. See these? They're all over the place. Okay, unaccompanied, Ethiopia, headless in Ethiopia. It's all over there in the Middle East area is what it is. Look at that, different types. It's got like a elephant snout. Okay, look at them. So, this is so interesting, you all. Look at that. Whoa, the Raipan Cathedral. That's really interesting. This is located in North Yorkshire, England. Why do they have that in there? Why do they have that in there, you all? Look at that. It's in that cathedral. The bleme. It's because they existed. They existed. The headless men and the headless women existed. It's not myth. It's not folklore. It is real. That is what it is. It's very, very real. So if you see any depiction of these, you hear anything about it, you know that it is real and that is history, and it happened over there. It's this area right here. Let's zoom up on it. This is the area where all the bulk of history that seems to focus on the bulk of it, all in these areas right here. Right here. All of these areas. The Red Sea, the Middle East, all these areas right here, you all. It's where the bulk of these ancient gods and stuff, right in these areas. I don't think the ancient gods ever left. I think they're still there in some form. And I think there's UFOs down in here. And I think portals open up right here. I think that we're going to find out more as time goes by. We're going to hear about a lot more that's went on. A whole lot more. Yeah, because something is going on. And things are picking up around the world. So let me shrink this down, you all. Gina, can you shrink it down? If I can hit that button, I can shrink it down, you all. I can. So this video has been about the blemes. I hope you liked it. And if you stayed around long enough to the very end of the video, so I don't have to sit here and talk to myself and watch the video myself, thank you so very much. So with that being said, hello wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello from my heart to yours. Thank you so much for watching this. Please give this video a thumbs up because I think there's some history that has been hidden, and it's real. It's not myth. It's not folklore. It is real. Love you.